Up next on The Bottom Line, Montgomery County Police Chief Tom Manger announces his plans to retire.
I really do think that I'm ready for what's next in my life.
A group of local photographers get candid about some of their most meaningful work.
The theme of what I think we were trying to achieve is pictures that meant something to us.
Telling the stories of Montgomery County's past. We'll take you to this year's Montgomery County History Conference.
So this history conference is really a chance for people to take a deep dive and really get to understand some of these issues that are with us today.
And a sold-out premiere for a feature film produced right here in Montgomery County. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'm Susan Kenedy. After a 42-year career in law enforcement, Montgomery County Police Chief Tom Manger has announced he will retire in April. We sat down with Chief Manger and spoke to him about this decision.
Now Chief of Police for Montgomery County, Tom Manger.
After 15 years of service to the residents of Montgomery County,
Good morning.
Police Chief Tom Manger is calling it a day.
I really do think that I'm ready for what's next in my life.
The announcement came on the anniversary of his swearing in as chief back in 2004. Manger is the second longest serving police chief in Montgomery County. He will retire from the force on April 15th, and he told us his decision comes from the heart.
After 42 years, I really feel like I've had my time of that. And I'll tell you, the 24/7 responsibility, the stress that comes along with that, all of that, I think I understood that responsibility, but I'm ready for that to transition out of that as well. So maybe you should check back with me in a year and let me know how it's going.
Manger has spent 42 years in law enforcement and got his first taste of police work after graduating from the University of Maryland and working as a summer cop in Ocean City.
This job in Ocean City, which was great fun, taught me nothing about being a professional police officer, but what it did tell me was this was the right profession for me.
During his tenure as chief, Manger was the force behind the body-worn camera program. He said he implemented the program not in reaction to a crisis situation, but because it was the right thing to do. He's also proud of the impact he's had in making the culture of the department one of integrity and accountability.
And we identify a lot of people that have racial bias and other things. We don't hire them. I don't need those kinds of cops.
The speech you gave was really changed my view. I thought it was amazing.
I think we've learned over the years that every crime fighting initiative that we put into place, there's got to be a trust building component to that. And part of that is listening to the public. Part of that is getting the public's input about, well, what do you want from the police?
We need to hear from you when you see something suspicious. We need your cooperation when we do investigations.
I mean, what do you want us to do? And if you keep your ear to the ground and you keep listening to the public and understanding what they want, I think you can deliver police service in a way that encourages folks to partner with the police.
But he said his proudest achievement was closing the case of the Lyon sisters.
This case has been looked at many times through the years as we worked to give answers to the Lyon family and bring justice to this case.
You know, something that went unsolved for 40 years and impacted this community so greatly back then, and something that the community never forgot about. And the fact that we could finally bring that case to closure was a big deal.
I appreciate the opportunity to come before the council and talk.
Manger said he will be happy to assist County Executive Mark Elrich in the search for his successor. When he leaves Montgomery County, he will oversee the Major Cities Chiefs Association in Washington, D.C. Sidney Katz chairs the council's Public Safety Committee. He says Manger's announcement didn't come as a big surprise.
He is an absolutely terrific person. I certainly am sorry to see him retire, but I'm not surprised. It's a very, very tough job. I mean, you know, people talk about a job that's 24/7. That job is 25/8. I mean, you're constantly under pressure.
Chief Tom Manger says he'll miss his colleagues and says he will keep up with the goings-on in Montgomery County but only as a civilian.
I'm going to read about or hear on the news about some case that we have, and I'm going to think, well, what's going on with it? What leads do we have? Who's working on it? You know, what's going on? And not being in the loop and not having people brief me on those kinds of things, I'm going to miss that. I'm going to want to call one of my detectives and say, so what's the story? What's going on with this? And they're going to say, well, you know, you're not the chief anymore, so we can't tell you. And so I'm going to have to start, you know, getting used to that.
Local journalism here in Montgomery County has become scarce. Over the past several years, the newspapers residents relied on to get their information have disappeared. But a group of local photographers have put some of their best work on display to show how their pictures have provided lasting memories.
And I said, here's the score, but they don't.
Phil Fabrizio.
So I usually try to find the picture that shows the scoring moment.
George Smith.
This is Coach Bob Malloy, who coached for many years.
Jackie South.
Interesting experience working for the local newspaper.
And David Wolf.
When I was going through the pictures afterwards, I was looking at this, I said, I wonder what was going through their minds.
Had been sharing the sidelines at dozens of Montgomery County sporting events for years. They've captured some of the best photography of this area's sporting legends, and they've teamed up to present their reflections on the stories behind those images.
There are so many images that it's hard to actually say what's a special image, you know?
Yeah.
The exhibit, Our Moments in Time, is on display at the Activity Center at Borough Park in Gaithersburg.
First of it's a variety of sports. They're nice pictures. It's capturing the moment. I mean, we have Quince Orchard. I'm looking at the picture of Quince Orchard that obviously Phil took, and how neat that one is.
Each of these sideline photographers have documented all levels of sports in and around Montgomery County for a variety of publications. Jackie South won a first place award from the Maryland, Delaware, D.C. Press Association for her portrait of the Manger sisters trio from Whitman High School.
It was really interesting watching how they interacted on the court, and then when I got to take these portraits, it was fabulous. Just listening to them bicker back and forth and banter back and forth. They were really, really a great combination of kids together. Everybody who sees that image, if they've played basketball or anywhere in the county, they're like, oh yeah, we know the Mangers. Everybody knows who they are.
Okay. These photographers know they are capturing moments that many fans miss because they happen so quickly.
There are 20 girls on that field, and I got 17 faces in that picture.
Wow.
And not only I have 17 pictures, but there is no hair in their face. All the ponytails are tied back. They've got the arms out, and they've got all the movements. And there's such a coordination that they got all their feet up off the field. And I must have that day stood one spot where I knew where they were going to be jumping, and I hit off about 120 photos.
And just like the saying goes, a picture is worth 1,000 words. These photographers have captured the stories and emotions of so many, and they interject them into their pictures.
The young man in the picture.
George Smith told us about how he got to know Austin Cohen, a young man from Quince Orchard High School who wanted to play football.
Diagnosed with bone cancer.
But instead spent his youth fighting bone cancer. George Smith met Austin when he started taking photos on the sidelines himself.
Got to, become his friend, and invited him to come and shoot the state final at M&T Stadium on the field, which is, that's not something everybody gets to do. Very cold day. And I kept, his father's on the right, Scott. And I kept saying to Scott, is he going to be okay? And he says, whatever he wants. And I was just impressed by how strong Austin was, strong character, and he battled his disease with tremendous grace. All of us take thousands of pictures a year. A lot of them are action shots, catching the ball, fingertip catch or whatever, that could have been hanging here. But the theme of what I think we were trying to achieve is pictures that meant something to us. So that's a picture that meant a great deal to me.
And it's actually a composition of 3 separate pictures. I love swimming.
These journalists chose the photos for this exhibit because of the lesson each picture gave them.
And the key thing about it is they've all got their mouths open. And swimming is the one sport where the coach will tell you, stop breathing.
We might think we know the story behind reading a facial expression when we look at a photo, but sometimes even the professional behind the lens can be enlightened.
She collided with her when she'd come off her line, the keeper way up off her line. And it was a head-on smash type thing. Well, I got to interview him a few days later, and I printed this picture and showed it to him, and I said, now exactly what were you thinking? They both answered at the same time, in unison, get up off the ground, you're not hurt.
Even though this group can frequently show up at the same event, there are no elbows being thrown on the sidelines. They have become close friends, sharing stories, tips, and even having lunch in the off-season.
Once the season ends, it's like, where are we going to go have somewhere to eat?
This group gets the big picture of what it means to work side by side in a field where they are tasked with the important job of recording history. The exhibit is open to the public and runs until March 10th. There are so many stories that make Montgomery County the community it is today. And recently, many of those stories were told at the annual history conference at Montgomery College.
I want to welcome you to the 13th annual Montgomery County History Conference.
Montgomery County's historic cemeteries, the housing boom in Montgomery County, and a discussion on the Underground Railroad. Those were just a few of the themes at the annual Montgomery County History Conference. Kicking off this year's event, Councilmember Will Juando, who donated the agbada he wore during the council inauguration ceremony. Juando gifted the garment to honor his late father and highlight his family roots.
So when I wore this agbada, which is a traditional Nigerian garb and clothing that is worn for ceremonial purposes, I did so not without hesitation. You know, I knew I would be doing something that people would look funny at me about and not necessarily understand the nervous things that come when you do something new. But I wanted to do it because I wanted to honor my father and our Nigerian heritage. And if he was at the inauguration, he would have been wearing something very similar to this.
Since 2007, the Montgomery County History Conference has been a venue for people of all ages and backgrounds to explore and celebrate the many facets of our past. The day-long gathering includes workshops, presentations, and panel discussions covering a wide range of topics.
What we try to accomplish with the History Conference every year is to expose people from your everyday person, your history buff, a policymaker, anyone who might have an interest in kind of current events, what Montgomery County is about nowadays. The best way to figure out not only what's happening now and what will happen in the future is to look back. And so this History Conference is really a chance for people to take a deep dive and really get to understand some of these issues that are with us today.
Councilmember Sidney Katz introduced a presentation on the history of Reed Brothers Dodge.
In 1914, Lewis Reed became a partner in Rockville Garage.
The history of Montgomery County is something that should not be lost, and the more that we have an older generation that is not living and that didn't always write everything down, we now need to make certain that everything is videoed and that is archived for the next generations to know about.
But not all of the sessions covered Montgomery's past. A group of AP Composition and Literature students from Rockville High School shared their personal stories on immigrants in the community they interviewed, as well as stories about themselves.
I was born on January 28, 2002 in Cameroon, Africa, and lived there.
Gabby Togue was born in Cameroon, Africa, and came to Montgomery County when she was 10 years old.
I'm going to talk a little bit about how or the reason why I moved here and everything that's happened to me since I got here and how I became the person I am today and what I hope to accomplish.
For more information on other events hosted by Montgomery History, visit their webpage. And keeping with that same theme of history, a local filmmaker, Dan Searles, recently premiered a movie he produced about the legendary Old West lawman Bill Tillman. We leave you with scenes from the sold-out show, which took place at AFI Theater in Silver Spring.
Bit of opening night jitters, there's a lot of work. We started working on this crazy little film in 2014. So, it's amazing. We pull up, there's a red carpet. The Bill Tillman and Outlaws is on the billboard. It's running somehow electronically. Evidently, Arch Campbell's inside. I want to meet him. I don't know if he wants to meet me, but got my mom and dad here. So it should be a fun night. Hopefully people like it.
I'm the bad guy. I'm the good guy. He's the good bad guy. He's the warden of the bad guy.